Welcome back to the Centered on Buffalo podcast. Just me joining you today. And we're going to talk a little bit about this Bills Steelers game this weekend and just talk about the possibility of the snow and how you handle it. It's been estimated, I saw from some, that it's going to be about 11 inches from Saturday night through Sunday night. And then I've heard that we could get 1 to 2 feet during the game. It's so hard to predict these lake effect snow bands. It's just hard to know how they're going to hit. I've consulted with Patrick Hammer, a meteorologist up in Buffalo, trying to get some advice. And the commercial flights stink in and out of Buffalo this week. So I'm driving up. So I was looking for some advice on when to get in, when would be safe, when would be smart. I want to spend as much time back home in Louisville as I can. I'm driving up with a couple buddies. So trying to figure out what's best and ultimately decided we're going to leave tomorrow. I got to be in by about 3 because I got to go to the Sabres game, which is at 4. I'm banging the drum for the Sabres game tomorrow. So get to do that. I'm excited about that. Excited to take my buddies to a Sabres game. We'll hit Mulberry, I believe, for dinner tomorrow night. We might hit the ringside lounge at Iliad Apollo's after. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if the snow prevents any of that as well tomorrow night. But talking about the snow, it could be an issue. And look, the Bills are a 10-point favorite. The snow has been projected all week, and they've remained a 10-point favorite. And so when you look at it, there's a lot of concern that Pittsburgh could muddy up the game. And we'll touch on this at the end, but I'm not as concerned. But we'll talk about that at the end. In my experience playing in Buffalo, we had to deal with the snow. It's part of living in Western New York, whether it's practice, whether it's driving to rehab at the facility on an off day or go up and watch film. And, we've had games moved. We had a game moved while I was there to Detroit. I got picked up at my house on a snowmobile because our street was not shoveled out. I got picked up at my house, left my pregnant wife at home, which we were on the same page. It's not like I just up and left her, but I got picked up by some stranger that the Bills flanked down to pick me up at my house on a snowmobile, and he took me to the stadium so I could hop on the team bus so we could go to the airport and fly to Detroit to practice for a couple days. And then we went and beat the Jets in Detroit. And I believe that was Monday Night Football. I was thinking it might have been a Tuesday, but I think it was Monday Night Football. And so we've had games moved before. Last year, had another game moved to Detroit because of snow. When you're in the South Towns of Buffalo, that's right in that snow belt, and you're going to get crushed by snow every now and then. It just is what it is. But you know what? It's a city of incredible people, incredible passion, generous folks that it makes it so special to live there despite the snow. You're not that concerned about it while you're up there, other than times that it really affects your plans, and this weekend could be one of them. They've already said that they haven't considered moving the game. There was a possibility that could be moved to Cleveland, I heard, and then some people dug in on that, and that doesn't seem to be true. So it doesn't seem like this game is going to be moved. And so now it's deal with the elements. And so the worst it ever was for me playing a game in the snow was definitely that 2017 Indianapolis Colts game. We come in as a big favorite in the game, and there was not that much snow expected for the game. There really wasn't. I mean, we were thinking 1 to 2 inches, and we go out for pregame warmups, and the guys that were wearing visors, the snowflakes were so big and thick that they were caking onto their visors. So they had to take their visors off, and we thought, okay, this might be a little bit different. This might not be just 1 to 2 inches. By the time we left the field after warmups, we'll go back in the locker room before coming out to the field for national anthem, coin toss, and kickoff. When we came back out of the tunnel, now it's already starting to build up. I think like maybe 5 or 6 inches, and the stadium crew is still on top of it at this point. They're able to clear it out of the way. They're able to clear the field so you can see the lines and all of that. Well, that all changed quickly. Now we're over a foot. You still can't clear out the lines in this game that we were supposed to wipe the field with the Colts that day. We were more talented. They were already eliminated from the playoffs. We're fighting for our playoff lives. We now are in a dogfight, and it goes down to the wire. I mean, I remember my first shotgun snap of the game, it hit the ground, and I had no idea why. It felt like a good snap. And as a center, when you snap that many footballs, you know when one goes awry, and I didn't feel like it did. I never lost control of it. Well, it hit the snow about a foot behind me. The snow was piled up maybe 14 inches. Well, it clipped that and just went right into the dirt and Tyrod had to jump on it. So from that point forward, not only did I have to clear out a space for my feet every play, I had to clear out a space to even snap the football so it would clear it to get back to the quarterback if we were in the shotgun. And we needed to be in the shotgun at times because it was so hard for the quarterback to get out from under center and not slip on his way to the running back. So it just turned into a complete mess. When I talk to family and friends, a lot of times they say that was the most entertaining football game they've ever seen. Well, playing in it at times was fun until you go to overtime and you potentially are going to miss the playoffs for the 9th year in a row during your career. 17th year, maybe that would have been 18 years in a row. We would have missed the playoffs if we lose that game. And so it became very serious. But luckily, we had the best snow running back in the history of the NFL, LaShawn McCoy, on our team, who crushed it in the snow at Philly, crushed it in Buffalo as well in the snow. He scores a touchdown in overtime, runs, I believe, right between me and Richie over that left-hand side, and we win the game. And so we got out of there, out of Dodge. We go home. Well, now I got to clear out my babysitter, our babysitter's car. My mom and my wife were at the game together, and my daughter was born at that time. Our game that got moved to Detroit. Our daughter, I mentioned my wife was pregnant. Okay, now our daughter's born in 2017, and so we had a babysitter at the house. Well, her car is completely snowed in, so I have to shovel her car out so she can leave. And then I had people in town from a charity auction in Louisville, and I was meeting them for dinner at Elio Apollo. So I drive down there, get in my truck, drive down there. Well, there's a woman that can't get out. The snowplows had essentially just caved her car in snow, caked it in snow. And so we helped her get out, and there ended up being a news story and whatnot about it. We weren't looking for any publicity. We didn't think there would be any publicity that came from it, but it was cool to get that recognition that me and Groy and a number of other guys on the offensive line helped people get out of the snow that night, get home to their families. And so wild night. And it's a lot to manage. So what are some ways that you can manage the snow as an NFL football player? Well, you're only allowed to wear cleats that are 3/4 of an inch long. And so if you think about that, if the snow is packed down, you're going to go through some of the snow, but if it packs down an inch, well, you're not even getting to the turf on a play. And, you don't want to wear 3/4 inch cleats all the time because they're slower, they're longer. You can catch turf. You got to pick your feet up higher at times. You can trip. And so you don't want to wear them all the time. But in the game like tomorrow or on Sunday, that most people will be wearing cleats that will be 3/4 inch long. So get longer cleats and try and clear out the footing, at least for the start of the play, so you can get started. Number two, you're going to bundle up. Bundle up to the best you can. For an offensive lineman, we generally don't wear sleeves. Some of it's intimidation factor. Some of it is I'm just not comfortable because I never wear sleeves. And so, but you'll wear stuff to like keep your core warm. We'll have stuff that's almost similar to scuba gear, and it'll kind of look like a vest. And so you'll have like your compression shirt underneath, and then maybe that vest thing that like traps in your body heat. But you're layering up because you want your core especially to stay warm for the game. You'll see guys out there with those little muffs. They can stick their hands in between plays, and you got hand warmers in there. You're going to wear gloves. Some people wear, the full head. I don't know. It's kind of like a beanie that goes all the way down over your ears and your neck. I don't know exactly what those are called. Someone can respond with what those are actually called. And another measure some people use is they'll rub Vaseline all over their skin to try and trap in the body heat, kind of clog up your pores and trap in that body heat. For a center, that's not a great idea. For a receiver, running back, someone that's touching the ball, not a great idea. But especially people on the defensive side of the football, they will do that to try and trap in that body heat. So if you see the NFL guys out there and they're playing in the cold and their arms look really shiny, or maybe their face does, that's probably Vaseline trying to trap the heat in. On our sidelines, the benches are actually heated. And so you got one of those big parkas over you. You're on a heated bench, and then we have those heaters blowing in from both sides. So the benches are actually pretty warm. So great time to warm up, get your core body temperature up a little bit, get your hands, maybe your feet. Careful getting your hands and feet too close to those heaters because we're wearing shoes and gloves, so you might not feel it first until you've burnt all the way through cleats and shoes and gloves. I've seen that happen during games before, but you're trying to stay warm. And really the time that you're the coldest during an NFL game is if you go out on the field for that time of a TV timeout. So your adrenaline's not quite going all the way yet. You're not in the heat of battle. You're not thinking about the opponent, what they're running, what the play is, what's the scheme, what's my technique. You're just sitting there freezing. And so we try and delay going out there. Oftentimes the offensive line will just be hanging out there. Kind of, we don't want a 40-yard run out to the opposite hash before a series starts. So we'll get out there and just hang out there. And we know us five are going to be out there. The rest of the group doesn't know the personnel grouping. So long story short, spend as little time as you can during TV timeouts out in the middle of the field where the wind's going to be whipping through there. And then throughout the game, you got to be conscientious. The ball's going to be slick. This is a game that you can't turn the ball over. There might not be a ton of points if the snow is really an issue, similar to the Indy game in 2017. Can't turn the ball over and understand the ball is going to be slick. So two hands on the football when you're in contact. The center's got to be very careful with the snaps. The quarterback's got to watch that ball in on a shotgun or secure it underneath center at all times. And you just got to be careful because you can't turn the ball over in a game where there's not going to be a lot of points. And then my last thing on this is, as an offensive line, we always felt like we had a little bit of an advantage over the defensive line in these situations. And then even receivers and running backs felt like they had an advantage over the defense, even if there's not going to be a ton of points. And here's why: because we know where we're going on the play. We generally know where we're going on each and every play. And so the defense has to react. So we can get our footing and we can kind of pre-plan our steps, and they have to react. And at times that's where you can see a running back like LaShawn McCoy just make people miss throughout a game because he is understanding where he wants to go, and he's making the DBs, the linebackers react to him, and then they'll slip and fall, and he's off to the races. So as I look at this game this week and I look at the matchup between the Steelers and the Bills, look, the Steelers, you look back at their franchise, they're built for physicality. They're built for playoff football. But when you are a team like the Bills and you have Brandon Beane and Sean McDermott building this roster, understanding that you're going to play cold games and you're going to host playoff games, that's your goal. So they're going to be cold. There's likely going to be wind. There may be snow. That's why you go out and draft a Josh Allen, a guy that can, has massive hands. He can take care of he can hold on to the football, and he can grip the football even in the cold. He's got a massive arm to throw it through the wind. He can move. He can run to have that extra run element if this turns into a ground fest, similar to that Indianapolis game. He's got that mobile element, and he's also big to be able to take some shots throughout the game. You've got an offensive line that you poured a bunch of resources in, and those guys are playing at a high level. You drafted James Cook in the second round. You have Leonard Fournette, Latavius Murray, Ty Johnson, bigger, more physical backs. You built your team and your offense, as I mentioned, to play in games like this. Defensively, look, this is a defense that is built to match up with teams like Miami and Kansas City. But when they've dedicated themselves to stopping the run, think last week against the Dolphins, they gave up 101 rushing yards in the first half, and Sean McDermott said, okay, we can't be so concerned about the ball going over the top of the defense. We're going to take care of the run. In the second half, Miami has 7 rushing yards. When they've dedicated resources to stopping the run and really put all their eggs in one basket, they have been able to. And that's why you bring in a Daquan Jones. You draft Ed Oliver in the first round. Greg Rousseau, quietly one of the best run-stuffing defensive ends in the league. Shaq Lawson's great against the run. And you look around this defense, and there's many pieces that are built to play well against the run. And so when I look at this game, I'm not thinking, oh, here's a snow game. Pittsburgh's licking their chops because they have Warren in the backfield and Najee Harris, and they've ran the ball well recently. I'm not concerned, and that's part of the reason I don't think the line has moved. The line hasn't moved, even with the snow and everything. The over-under might move, but they don't think that the Bills are going to lose by less than 10, or they're not going to win. They're going to win by 10 or more points in this game. And so when I look at it, I'm not concerned either. Now, do I have a respect for Mike Tomlin, and do I have respect for the Steelers team winning 3 in a row, getting into playoffs? Yes. But I do think this is going to be a double-digit victory by the Bills because they've played in these games. They understand it. So have the Steelers. They play in Pennsylvania. You get bad weather there. But this is your home turf in Buffalo. You have the Bills Mafia behind you in your stadium, going to make it tough on Mason Rudolph making his 14th start, I believe. I mean, that is tough on a young quarterback, young experience-wise quarterback. And so, especially with TJ Watt out of this game on the defensive side of the football for the Steelers, I like the Bills in this one. I think they can handle the elements, and it's going to be a fun one Sunday. Enjoy it, Bills Mafia.